Hello and welcome to the Friday night stream of the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. Gonna have a nice chill stream to wind down the Friday evening. I'm gonna start out with a little bit of Rapid. Okay. Love the name. Okay, E4 gonna give us a little Sicilian action. Okay. Bishop C4. I do like to see that because sometimes it is the overture to my favorite blunder of all times. Let's see. Yeah, although maybe not this time. Ah, shit, that wasn't actually what I intended to do. Actually, it's not terrible, though. Because eventually I do tend to push F6, but much, much later than this. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, the nice thing about this, about my unintentional F6 there, is it does prevent Knight G4, Knight G5, which I find annoying when the dark squared bishop has already been released and can defend it. Much prefer it when the knight is undefended and the person I'm playing does not actually realize why that matters. First time in a while, I have actually... Okay. Interesting. Oh, I see. Okay. That's not how you go about that. I mean, usually you'd want to have the queen here, the queen behind the dark squared bishop if we're going to trade dark squared bishops. What else can that be? Seems like an odd choice. Okay. Deprive the light squared bishop of the square. Push that back. Okay. Beautiful. Now I can continue moving that F-pawn and try to force open that F5, which is my goal here. Oh no, I can't. I have to first find a safer place for my king so that that pin is no longer operational. Okay, cool. Stream going, yeah. Okay. Alright. Oh, pretty. No, can't have that. The issue here is that this knight can fork as it stands right now. So... oh, well, that doesn't actually help. Well, yeah, it does. I mean, now the fork is operational. But the knight can still get to that square, which is an annoying place for it to be. Fortunately, it seems Black's got better things to do than take my E6 square. Okay. Really hunting for that. My rook. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, well, okay. I can still get what I was hoping to get out of this, minus... that works. Okay. If I can just manage to get this other, the A rook over to F8, I've got back rank mate. Already a bit behind on time. And there is a mating threat going on at the moment. We have to be conscious of that. Well, now, can't land on top of the king because this pawn is defending the G pawn, so that's something. Still a very annoying situation. Yeah, this way the only check with the queen. Okay, now the knight for the moment is pinned. What can I do? Well, one possibility is to just sort of annoy the queen a bit. Want to maintain pressure on this open file to the extent that there is any. Ja, wenn sich was ergibt. Es kommt alles drauf an, wie sich mein Bestand an Zeit, Energie und halt Ideen entwickelt. Okay. Gibt es noch irgendeine Schachtel? Ja, also da ist eine einfache Abwehr möglich. Da müsste ich meinen Turm fesseln lassen und natürlich... Nee, also das ist nun wirklich nicht gut. Nee, warte mal. Ritter frisst, also Springer frisst. Dame springt da rein. Dame, dann, ja. Dann habe ich einen Turm zu wenig. 2 Türme gegen einen. Das geht selten gut. Gewonnen habe ich auch so, aber... Wenn ich irgendwie meine beiden Türme behalten kann, dann bin ich eher dafür, das zu tun. Okay. Bisschen Zangenangriff hier. Ich vermute, dass das jetzt auf Dame E6 Schach hinausläuft, aber das werden wir mal sehen. Also den Tausch Dame gegen Turm, also ich wäre nun wirklich erstaunt, wenn Krümpf das annehmen würde, aber gut. Ja. Aber Damentausch unter diesen Umständen ist gar nicht schlecht, denn die Dame ist im Moment eine der aktivsten Figuren halt von Hürmpf. Und genau die gilt es, Hürmpf wegzunehmen. Okay. Turm in der 2. Reihe. Aber nein. Keine Lust auf Turmtausch. Da ziehe ich immer nur den kürzeren. kann man nur bedingt den König angreifen. Also mit dem Springer geht es, also mit Springer E6. Ah, danke, das wäre auch meine Lieblingsvariante. Denn so habe ich eine Hinterreihe Matt, also quasi vorprogrammiert. Ich muss nur dafür sorgen, dass dieser Turm da auf F1 wegkommt von dieser Reihe. Und irgendwie wird man das vielleicht noch hinkriegen. Mal sehen. Okay. Okay. No back rank mate is going to happen here. That is a real pity. That was kind of my main hope. Is this knight is going to be an annoying sort of problem. Though. Okay, then. Uteの可能性はまずありませんね。なぜかというと、風で囲まれているし、囲われてるし、風で動くのかなり時間の問題も生じているんですけど、大丈夫？ウルクはそこで攻められませんからね。急に食いちぎられるから。言い換えれば、C4 ルックとなると、私は大歓迎なんですよ。Okay, so I am 20 seconds down on time. Somebody is going to flag unless somebody figures out very quickly how to get made. Yeah. What are we gonna just keep on checking with the knight and just see if until I flag? Yeah, draw. GG. Good job I did that. Oh, well, no, there was still plenty of time. Well, plenty. 23 seconds. 23 to 32. Nice how that worked out. Okay. Let's see what we've got in the world of reaction fodder. best of Sam Harris's allegedly amazing arguments and clever comebacks. Let's see, we already did Amala Ekpunobi sort of responds blandly to bland protesters on bland campus. Let's see. We've got Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, not Alexandria, it's Alejandra, cancelled over Met Gala dress. Anything else? Oh, Bill Maher talking about how Americans need perspective. Oh, right. We never finished this. I guess we'll just do that. That was the first one for today. More offensive in-school curriculum, explicit sex ed or Columbus? I'm gonna go with... What? Back it up just a little bit. We were just hearing about a sex ed program that acknowledged that
and
queer
frankly
people
takes away parents' rights to be able to know what their children are learning K through 12.
Really? It takes away their rights to know? I mean, why? Is the sex ed curriculum a secret?
About sex education in these schools. When you went through this article, Amala, was there any part of you that, are we even shocked anymore? Or are you like, yeah, this happens?
This happens. Yeah, and it's weird that as we go through this subversion of our society, that everything just becomes normalized. It becomes way more normal now to see.
Well, yeah, good. I would like it if explicit queer inclusive sex ed were actually normalized. Because maybe it would reduce the normalization of fucking STDs and teen pregnancies. Yeah, I decided to finish the one. Oh, hello. A ridiculous Darkest Dungeon 2. Do they just have, like, progressively dimmed dungeons, throughout the series, and eventually you get to one where the lights just got turned off because they weren't paying the bill? Yeah, this is, you just actually came into the beginning of the continuation of the thing about which is more offensive, explicit sex ed or Columbus. And Jill Simonian was just talking about how apparently having publicly available curricula on sex ed, a roguelike, okay, I am admitting a gap in my knowledge when I say that I'm not sure exactly what a roguelike is, except that I imagine it's rather similar to a rogue. I think the real Darkest Dungeon is the one where you find yourself with Jill Simonian and Dennis Prager. Ah. Oh, okay. See, my gaming knowledge drops off very steeply after Super Mario World, basically. I mean, I've played some World of Warcraft, but a cowboy repair guy wrecked my good computer, never played Diablo. And so anytime I try to do anything too GPU intensive, it threatens to just die on me. Like, so I know, like, XCOM 2, I know World of Warcraft, played a bit of Hearts of Iron, and, I played Civilization 2, good at Civilization 2, and, I really rocked Mortal Kombat 1. Not that I'm dating myself or anything.
This happening, whereas if you had shown me this 5 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy.
Exactly.
Okay, and the fucked up thing here is she's 21, which is to say my first experience of this bullshit outrage festival is older than her, is older than Amala Ekpunobi. Because I remember that when Newt Gingrich was kicking off over this shit back during the days of the Contract on America and the rest of that crap. And we ended up having a ban on federal funding for schools that gave proper sex ed that might actually have some chance of reducing teen pregnancies and STDs. Interesting. So, sort of it's like a fighting game, and you're going through some very complicated series of dungeons?
I would have seen this a year ago. I would have been like screaming my head off. Here's the interesting part. So in this article, when
You're seeing it now and you're screaming your head off in front of however many actual viewers you managed to get, Jill. Here, let me pop in the chat window since we actually have chatting going on. And so people can actually see what I am replying to here. Okay, there. Can I get the top of Jill Simoleon's head in there? No, I can't. That's fine.
you guys read this, there's a video where a few parents and child advocates speak about this curriculum. They do say that out of the 60 school-based studies, no credible evidence of effectiveness was found for sustained reductions in teen pregnancy or STDs. So the reason
what study is this? Notice she doesn't actually give us a citation of the study. I mean, what we do know is that actual explicit sex ed does have a sustained reduction in both of those things. And the really good sex ed that also includes stuff about, like, healthy relationships and recognizing coercive control and abuse and all that shit also reduces all those things. And, you know, we've known that for a very, very long time. So I wonder what, like, fucking Mickey Mouse studies she's found that claims otherwise. Or maybe it's related to this specific curriculum.
Why we do believe in age-appropriate sex education for students is to prevent these dangers that can happen to them so that they are educated. But
except that the kind of sex ed that you people advocate doesn't do that. It doesn't even tell them what the dangers are. It just says don't fuck. And that doesn't work. Okay, based on concepts from other games I also am not familiar with. That is very, very likely. Which is why I would like you to explain it in terms of concepts from Super Mario Bros. 2. Just as a bit. I have a feeling that that is actually fucking impossible. Because for some reason, even though that was easily my least favorite game of the franchise, the music from that has really stuck with me, and it will randomly pop into my head for absolutely no fucking reason.
in radicalized sex ed like this, it's not reducing the thing that we're trying to prevent against. So then we ask ourselves, what is the
Except it literally is reducing that.
point? Why is this in our schools?
Because it actually does reduce those things, unlike the shit that you want to be teaching the kids, which is just don't fuck. I mean, fuck, I remember what okay, I think we've got a couple of people who, in the chat as well, who remember school in the US in the 1990s. Because the only sex ed we got was something called postponing sexual involvement. And this white guy, like, who was... I mean, this is an almost all-black school. This white guy showed up, and would just talk about how, like, excuses not to have sex and things you could do other than having sex, and we were supposed to put a list of reasons, why we might want to wait on having sex, and that was fucking it. Oh, actually, now I'm kind of curious, because, well, my very first sex ed would have been in '89. Although I was like 9, 10 years old. And it was mostly about, this is what puberty's going to be like. So they didn't really get into the other shit. Driving a wagon down a bunch of roads, try to run over obstacles because some of them drop power-ups. Every now and then you run into encounters like refugees who need help, ambushing you, etc., and you're headed toward a node where you have 1 to 3 routes to take from there. Interesting. Not even, okay, no sex ed at all, not even like postponing sexual involvement. We're going to talk about why you shouldn't fuck, but we're not going to talk about why you should at least try to do it safely if you do.
And it leads me to think, why are these things being taught in our schools, but standard fundamental educational lessons are not?
Right.
Like what? Which standard fundamental educational lessons?
Because that's no longer the goal of education anymore. It's not the goal to prepare kids for life. It's not the goal to prevent kids from experience.
Yeah, because, I mean, what would knowing about having sex and relationships have to do with life? I mean, those things aren't things that living people do. You have a torch on your wagon that you have to keep lit or you're fucked. That sounds like the 1990s sex education I got in junior school. That sounds like the sort of metaphor they would have used. Oh, yes, I'm guessing that's probably it, but I've noticed that she's not actually very keen on giving examples.
Experiencing harm or going through different struggles in their lives, it is to push ideology. So they don't care about that. They don't.
Oh, yeah, as opposed to this, which is just totally unideological, which is why you're pretending to get outraged over the same shit other people were paid to pretend to get outraged over back in the 1990s. I mean, I bet you that there's not going to be a single fundamental educational lesson that is actually mentioned that has been left out. They can't think of a single one. They're just going to throw that in there.
Don't care that their stats are not coming back with kids with lower teen pregnancy rates and lower STDs. They care that I've indoctrinated somebody.
Yeah.
This is such projection, because the thing is, actually telling kids how to avoid STDs actually works in reducing pregnancies and STDs. The shit that they're talking about actually makes pregnancies and STDs shoot right the fuck up.
Yeah, which is so sad. Do we have any comments about this? Are there any Minnesota parents?
Die andere Frau, which, who's the, you mean the younger one or the older one? Die ältere, die jetzt gerade redet, also ich habe keine Ahnung, ich vermute so um die 40. Vielleicht 30, keine Ahnung. Die andere, die ist 21. Redet aber so, als wäre sie jahrelang in der linken Szene unterwegs gewesen, behauptet das sogar, obwohl das eigentlich gar nicht stimmt.
That are watching that might have firsthand knowledge about this?
Yeah, if you are from Minnesota, let us know. I see we've got a bunch of...
You're from Minnesota, let us know. Die ältere, ja, keine Ahnung. Ich vermute so um die 40. Her name's Jill Simonian, and she's got a LinkedIn. I bet you could find it out quickly enough. She's the Director of Educational Outreach for PragerU. Oh, hey. We've got, was that Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Dennis Prager, and white supremacist terrorist Lives Matter flag. Hey, wait a second. What happened to the graveyard of racist brand icons that they had in the background before?
Comments, a lot of angry parents. Linda says, this is so wrong. God protect us. Paula says they have no right to be teaching students this. This is a parent's place to teach this subject.
Well, except that the parents don't teach it and the students kind of need to know it.
Rick says our public schools are now government indoctrination camps.
Okay. First of all, they were already run by the government. They were already indoctrinating people. It's kind of what U.S. schools... I mean, U.S. schools are just off the charts for this shit. It was a real revelation when I actually went to school for a while outside of the U.S. how much less like that it is elsewhere. I mean, to act like this, that the U.S. schools with their fucking great leader cult were less... weren't indoctrination before. Like, seriously?
Molly says they're implementing this crap in Kansas schools. People need to be arrested. Kat says,
Oh, God,
disgusting.
that's
None
nice.
of this should be taught in school.
It's nice to know that they're implementing this in Kansas. This is the first good news from Kansas I've heard in a while.
It's time for teachers to start teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and real science and real.
What the hell is real science? Oh, I mean, what is that? Is that a transphobic remark, or is this going to be about humans and Jesus coexisting with fucking dinosaurs? I mean, it's PragerU. It could be either of them. Could be both. But, you know, if it weren't for all that standardized testing bullshit, they would actually be doing a much better job with the reading, writing, and the arithmetic. God.
Not revisionist history, just my humble opinion.
Well, I agree. They need to stop teaching the revisionist history. We need to talk about how the country was founded on genocide and land theft and white supremacism and is ruled by a bunch of robber barons. Yeah, I mean, let's have some real deal history. I'm sure that's exactly what they're talking about here, too.
And lastly, Melissa says, this is shocking. How do we make it stop?
Oh.
How do we make it stop? Keep going to school board meetings, keep getting involved, keep demanding that as parents and grandparents that we're able to opt out of these types of lessons. The best
Yes, to opt your kid into sexually transmitted infections and teen pregnancy. God, I mean, this is just...
way is to get ahead of knowing what is coming down the pike. Go to your school district, go to your board meetings, demand that you see the curriculum that exists in your school district. This particular curriculum, the 3 R's, this is what this is called. So be aware, this curriculum, this radicalized
radicalized. God, these people don't, I mean, they just throw that word around. I don't think they know I don't think it means what they think it means.
Ed happening in Richfield schools in Minnesota is called the 3 R's, and it is not new. It has been in place for a number of years. And
yeah, okay, so it's been in place for a number of years. Why the fuck are you like getting all excited about it now?
Parents are provided opt-out information.
I thought before you were saying that the parents weren't able to even know what was going on, what was being taught. Now you're saying they're given opt-out information. What the fuck's your problem then?
In advance, no student is required to participate, so that is a silver lining, but...
yeah, it's interesting because surely you should have mentioned that in the first place, since your whole thing has been about how this is a huge violation of parents' rights to have really ignorant kids with lots of herpes and become grandparents at 40.
Again, for the parents who maybe are busy, are working full-time, are not on the front lines of this constantly, because it does take a lot of energy and time to constantly be on alert and on guard. It's hard to get ahead of this, but that's our job as parents right now. Regarding revisionist history, there was the parent that you said they're tired of their kids being taught revisionist history.
For example,
have something for you today.
Oh God, this should be interesting.
I have something. Who was that? You probably lost the comment. I would love to address them by name.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Oh God, she's really, really excited about it, so you know it's gonna suck. You know this is gonna be some serious negative pressure coming right here.
That's okay. For all the parents that are wondering why are our kids being taught sex education and revisionist history in lieu of classical foundational history, at PragerU Kids, we are trying to help you.
Yes, they're coming up with, and I hasten to point this. I pointed this out previously when we've actually looked at some of the PragerU Kids stuff, but see, I remember Lance from the Surfs actually when watching this, which is the first time I became aware that they were producing this crap for kids in the first place. Compared it to like North Korean kids programming. And what gets me is, as somebody who's actually watched North Korean kids programming, it's preachier. Actually, it's kind of remarkable. The kids programming on DPRK TV is actually the least preachy of the lot. It actually is much less so than the stuff they have for grown viewers. But, yeah, The stuff, I mean, the stuff that they have on PragerU is just incessant. Just preaching it and like let's see how many different artistic media we can make national flags in, and I mean it is so fucked up.
Today, this is like a weird segue, but I'm going to do it anyways because I have it here. Today is the launch day.
Oh, Otto's Tales. This is. I love that they decided to give like a name that, let me say, probably above the worldwide is probably has a greater chance of being the name of a Waffen SS officer than the worldwide average of given names, to celebrate a genocidal slave trading rapist.
You guys, for our Otto's Tales book, today is Columbus Day. So let's guess what this book talks about.
Well, gee, I'm gonna guess that it's revisionist history, where we're gonna pretend that the genocide didn't happen, and we're gonna pretend that even the fucking monarch of Spain wasn't appalled by just how enthusiastic Columbus was about the genocide. I'm guessing that we're just going to sort of pretend a whole lot of shit didn't happen. That's kind of going to be the idea with Otto's Tales, because otherwise you wouldn't like have the fucking laughing. What is that? A pug or a bulldog supposed to be?
History?
Instead of giving children books called My Princess Boy.
Which isn't a, like, did you think that was being provided as a history book? I mean, yes, there are historical figures to whom that term could apply, but that wasn't a history book, Jill. Maybe if you thought that was a history book, then you shouldn't be talking about history classes. I'm just saying there might be some gaps in your general fund of knowledge.
And trying to get them to question whether or not they were born as a male or female. Why?
Okay. Hello, recent arrivals.
Can't we give them books about history?
Who's saying that you can't give them books about history in addition to books that acknowledge trans people exist? I mean, what kind of non sequitur is this? She is paid to talk about this stuff, and this is as good as she gets at it.
That detail what happened when Christopher Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean in 1490.
Yes, I definitely attracted one. We're gonna wait and see about the other two. The other one's been blocked.
This is what our youngest learners need to be learning. This is what we are giving to you here from PragerU Kids. Once a month, our Otto's Tales books are for kindergarten through second grades. And
they're just complete bullshit.
What do you know? Were you taught about? Because Columbus Day is being canceled. That's the irony in all.
Wow, this is like the first time, I think, in watching these sorts of videos that I have ever heard the term canceled used in an accurate sense. Yes, that's right. Columbus Day is being canceled. It is being taken off the calendar because it is fucked up to be celebrating that. Very good. Finally, correct usage of the word to cancel.
All of this. We have Columbus Day being canceled across various states. Children are not being taught about who Christopher Columbus was, why he was important to America, why he...
Well, no, they're being taught that. It just doesn't make him out to look like anything other than a fucking scumbag.
He was important to Western civilization in the West.
They're teaching that. They're just not teaching it in a way that makes him sound good.
Western Hemisphere, yet they're being taught about cross-dressing and role-playing on whether or not to have sex as a transgender.
What kind of fucking non sequitur is this crap? I might want to change my stream category. See, you came in when I'm dunking on reactionaries. I also play chess and GeoGuessr on here. I alternate. So this is me dunking on reactionaries. For example, Jill Simonian, who wants to talk about education policy but doesn't know what a non sequitur is, apparently, is somebody who is an example of that. If you stick around, you'll get used to it, and if you don't, well, except that I have the same category to what I'm streaming. I just stream other things as well. A lot of people do that.
Anyways, what do you know anything about Christopher Columbus? Were you taught about Christopher Columbus?
I had an interesting progression of my education on Christopher Columbus. At first, it was, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean. Blah,
I love
blah,
that
blah.
rhyme. Yes, I love it.
And then the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, all of that.
Yeah, which, okay, so this is fucked up. And the thing is, okay, remember, she's 21. So that says that how little progress was made between when I was in primary school, and this was exactly what they were teaching us in the 1980s. And, okay, she's 21, that means in the early 2000s, that it was the same bullshit. Yeah, exactly, that's what they taught. Well, they didn't even really address the idea that there might be a reason. I appreciate you mentioning it. I'm just saying, I actually stream more than one thing, and it's right in the title of the stream as well. So, yes, I mean, I don't even think that there was ever any emphasis on him being a good person when I was first taught about it. It was just sort of assumed that there could be nothing untoward about what he was doing. Yeah, which is, such bullshit. Yeah. I mean, the people who were already there were probably the first people there, and it couldn't have been too new land because people had already been there for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
That fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you know the ships. That's good.
Thank you. And then as I got into high school and started getting into, the People's History of America and Howard Zinn, and then learning about how Columbus is not the great man that you think he was. He's a genocidal maniac who thought the Indians were stupid, and he did that.
Yeah, well, yes, which is, because those are things that happened. So you want, the idea is you want history class, but with less things that happened. Is that what I'm seeing here?
I did that whole progressive arc, and then obviously I came out on the other end of, wow, we stand on the shoulders of giants and we spit at their feet, and
right.
Yeah, so.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I am not opposed to learning the full, well-rounded truth of what happened.
Yes, you fucking are. I really don't think that your Otto's Tales is going to tell the full, well-rounded truth, and I'm not speculating there. I've seen the rest of what they put out as supposed history education for kids. I've seen examples of it. The whole well-rounded truth is the last thing they're interested in.
Do I think kindergartners need to be forced how to process that? No.
Okay. You're gonna have to help me there. Similar to the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin? I mean, Rabin was certainly involved in genocide. So I can kind of see that. But I'm not sure exactly if I understand how those two things are similar. Oh, apparently it seems that if I ban somebody from the restream, that doesn't actually mean I've blocked them from the Twitch as well, so I'm gonna have to take care of something here, apparently. Kiki. Okay. How do we... Chat on. Okay. There we go. That should be the end of the fucked up shit that Hizzy was saying. And a valuable lesson for me, because I thought that when you banned somebody on Restream, in the Restream chat, you were already blocking them in the place that they were tweeting, that they were already chatting from. So now I know better, which is good.
Kindergarten through second grade, our youngest learners now are being indoctrinated, and they're not being taught that Christopher Columbus is a symbol of perseverance.
Okay, but you're saying that's not indoctrination? That he's a symbol of perseverance? I have a feeling that the Taino people might disagree with the idea that that's what he symbolizes. I think they might have some other ideas about what he symbolizes.
It took him 8 years. Fun fact, Amala, it took him 8 years to convince King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella to give him the money to sail across the ocean. Did anyone know that? Anyway,
the hustler.
Yeah, exactly.
Who gives a fuck? And then after he went over there and reports started coming back of what he was doing, he ended up being stripped of all of his titles, because even by the genocidal standards of the Spanish Empire, which was pretty fucking genocidal, he was off the hook.
Columbus is an example of the immigrant experience to America. He is an example.
What the fuck
of,
does he have to do with the immigrant experience?
Of discovery. He had no maps when he sailed across the ocean.
Yes, he had fucking maps. That's why he thought he was in India. The immigrant experience, really? I mean, so he went to the Taino embassy and sought a visa before coming over, did he?
He's a symbol of perseverance. I'm glad that you knew the names of the 3 ships, because nowadays kids do not know those names.
And who gives a fuck what the names of his ships are? Who gives a fuck what the names of his ships are?
These are the foundations. I know. But this is the foundation, for better or for worse. This is the foundation of America.
Okay. And what important thing do we know because we know the names of the fucking ships?
Yeah, he sold natives into slavery. He didn't invent slavery. Yeah, there were atrocities at that time. Those are all things that can and should be discussed at.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very keen on discussing those things because you're like outraged that they are being discussed. Well, I mean, he's a symbol of white supremacism and all the fucking atrocities that stem from it. Yeah, I mean, Columbus is necessarily going to be a symbol because he had a fairly, I don't know, I mean, I imagine that there are estimates of it, but, I mean, it would be, in terms of proportional to the population of the island, I would have been quite massive, although it wasn't total. There are still Taino people around. Now, yeah, he definitely should be a symbol of anything good. I mean, and these people, I mean, what I love about this is I think these people here, Jill Simonian, et al. Over at PragerU, realize that they're fighting a losing battle on this, and that even if they manage to get this bullshit uniformly back into the schools, I seriously doubt. Yeah, actually, in fact, that comparison is more on the nose than a lot of people realize. Because the sort of slavery that the Spanish Empire practiced was something called the encomienda. And the way the encomienda worked was, it wasn't like the British model that was practiced in North America and the British occupied Caribbean islands, where you actually bought abducted Africans one by one to enslave and had to replace them if they became unable to work. You actually were buying specifically one or another as an enslaver. The way the encomienda system worked is that you were entitled to a certain number. You might be entitled to 100, you might be entitled to 1,000. I'm not sure exactly what kind of figures we were talking about, but the idea was if one of them died or became unable to work, that was no expense to you. The Spanish government had to then turn around and provide you with a replacement, which is exactly how the Nazis ran the public-private partnerships at Auschwitz. The companies that were using it as their production platform didn't, for the most part, individually pick out prisoners. They paid by volume. They needed 1,000 slave laborers. They paid the rate for 1,000 of them. If one of them died, they got another one. It's the exact same model, but transferred to an industrial system.
Higher levels of education in high school, in college, when children have developed the brain power and have the skills.
So we should lie to them up until then? I mean, if you're saying that they just can't deal with the idea that bad people, just absolute horror shows, founded this country and colonized the world, well, then surely the conclusion from that is that not that we lie about them, but that we just sort of wait a bit.
Set to really navigate those complex issues and discuss them in a mature way.
Yeah, the complex issue that, he murdered and enslaved a huge number of people, appalling even the Spanish Empire at the time. But look, his ships, they had names.
It's unfair to focus only on the sins of these historical figures who had such an impact on the...
You haven't come up with a single good thing he did.
Eventual creation of the United States of America. Yeah. So our audit...
seriously, what's one neutral or good thing that we should focus on that somehow eclipses all that other stuff? They can't come up with an example.
Tales, today's Columbus Day book is on sale, available now. If your child's school is not teaching about Columbus Day, if your child's school has canceled Columbus Day, maybe get a couple copies for their library or their...
Oh, God. I mean, just because they're not teaching about Columbus Day does not mean they're not teaching about Columbus.
Kindergarten classrooms or the first grade classrooms. I think we have the link in the comments. I got to tell you, I shared...
Yeah, exactly. And can I just say thank you for both of you newcomers to the channel. Welcome. And thank you for not being like that other fucker. That's the thing. It's like I don't get a whole lot of hits on this channel. Most of them are people I know. And then a whole lot of the new people, they're just complete trolls. They just come in here, say some sexual harassment, I ban them, and that's kind of the end of it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the fact that they can't handle the truth doesn't mean we should just bullshit them. I mean, 5-year-olds probably can't handle the Nazi Holocaust. We don't tell them Hitler was a good guy and then spring the big surprise reveal on them when they turn 10 that, oh, actually he was a murderous ghoul. We just kind of don't talk about that.
This book on my own social media last night, and I immediately got a ton of hate for it already.
Yes, because it's horrible and racist and fucked up. Actually, Amala, the last place that we met her, she was annoying some protesters at some university I've never heard of, and talking about, well, when did PragerU ever do anything racist? And it's like, well, here you are in the same studio as PragerU announcing something racist it's doing.
That's the name of the game. That's par for the course, honestly. You bring up Christopher Columbus and suddenly it's Indigenous Day.
It is.
Well, yes! Yes, and what exactly is wrong with that? Why is that a bad thing? Because the thing is, the indigenous people, they kind of have been here a hell of a lot longer, really should not have been treated the way that they were. Columbus was an evil fuck. And that, I mean, recognizing and celebrating the fact that indigenous cultures and indigenous people have actually managed to survive despite everything until this day. That seems much more worthy of celebrating than the fact that some fuck from Genoa came over and tried to kill them all.
It is, and that's the thing. Vermont, Washington D.C., New York, these are all places. I think California too. These are all places that have completely canceled Christopher Columbus and traded it for Indigenous Peoples Day, which we obviously respect. And
well, yes, you totally. It's obvious that you respect it, which is why you decided to make this book called Indigenous Peoples Day. Oh no, you didn't. You called it Columbus Day, the day that celebrates the guy who was who did the murdering of the indigenous peoples. That's a lot of respect there. I'm overwhelmed.
admire our indigenous people here in America. No one is trying to
our indigenous people. Fuck
discount, the existence or the contributions or the wisdom that that they have provided.
Point me to one PragerU video that honors and recognizes those contributions, because I've been through their back catalog, didn't find that
the Foundation of America. But come on, you can't cancel the guy who brought.
See, I think we can talk about the fact that he began colonization, and then sort of leave the details until kids are a little bit older and can deal with the just horrible, grisly history that is. I mean, we can kind of mention that Hitler was on the other side in World War II, and actually, that was one where the U.S. was on the right side of it. One of those rare wars that the U.S. was on the right side of, mostly, kind of. Though it couldn't completely make up its mind and commit to that by the end. But you don't have to get into the details. It's the details that are hard to deal with. You can say, when we, in my, Sunday school, we talked about Haman, in Purim, but we didn't get into details about, all the fucked up shit that he's said to have said and everything. Just that he wished Jews ill, and that it was a good thing when he failed to actually succeed at implementing that. I knew, and I was not actually scarred by that. It was enough, because, kids 5 or 6, they're already dealing in fiction with, all sorts of fucked up villains who want to kill your favorite characters for no reason. You got fucking Gargamel or something like that, and that's not the same thing, but in terms of the concept, it is kind of there. It shows a level of what kids for the most part at that age can deal with. It's the detail that'll fuck them up.
Western civilization to the Western Hemisphere. You can't cancel it. Any comments about Christopher Columbus?
Yeah, fuck him.
Parents who have
glad he's dead. Next comment.
There's some trolls giving the usual talking points about.
Give a troll. Give a troll. Hey, trolls.
Let's see what he said.
Wink, wink.
It was he is a symbol of the
wink, wink. What the hell?
Tyranny of the West, and when they invade poor nations and colonize them and leave behind nothing but a trail of blood and death and destruction.
Well, okay, that's the first PragerU stream comment that I've heard that was actually. Yeah, that was pretty accurate. That was good. There should be more of this. Please, whoever said that, do more of that. It's lovely, because they clearly are uncomfortable as fuck with the fact that there is an opposing viewpoint on there, even though they love to talk about free speech so much. Ah, shit. That is not what I was trying to do. Okay, well, nice to meet you, Coltron.
The greatest form of government, the greatest country to ever.
And just in case, and let me just in case I catch you before you've gone, I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time till 1 a.m. That is, not p.m. That would be a really long stream. Don't know if I could manage that, but I will be back tomorrow, same time, and there will be chess, maybe some GeoGuessr, and some dunking on assholes like this. And that's just how this stream works. We just sort of alternate between them. After this is over, we're going to play some more chess.
Never exist. The literal free world.
The free world.
The literal free world is not literally free.
Left behind nothing more.
Nothing more.
Yeah. What the... Yeah, okay, that's actually not strictly wrong. The thing that the U.S. likes to call the free world is what colonizers have left behind, and the free world has overwhelmingly been a charnel house. Okay, that's tolerably accurate, but not in the way they seem to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is hilarious.
Do like art. Love to the trolls.
I will say, Sammy Dotson said this about the story that we covered in Minnesota. This is my district, and my son goes here, and I had no idea.
Okay, whose fault is that?
Dun dun dun.
Isn't that wild?
That's wild. That's wild. Look up the article. Be informed. I'm glad we were. What's the phrase? If you can just sort of open one person's eyes, it's all a step toward improvement and progress.
That's a very clumsy phrase, but okay, we'll go with it.
Opening one parent's eyes, one moment at a one Facebook Live at a time, every Tuesday here with Amala and Taylor. Thanks, you guys. All right, listen up. Just to wrap it up, every week we just pop on here. We want to open your eyes.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. I mean, okay, I mean, it was very nice to hear that there's at least some place in the U.S. where there's decent sex ed going on. That was good news. And I mean, watching them squirm over the fact that Columbus is no longer getting this undeserved recognition, that was kind of nice to see.
This article that we shared was very disturbing to me as a parent. We just want to call everyone to action, parents, grandparents, child care, teachers, educators who are amazing and really stand against all of this radicalized curriculum.
They radicalized. Like, okay, so pretending that a genocidal fuck was actually a good guy, that's not radicalized?
In our schools, we need each other to continue to go to the board meetings, to continue to be informed, continue to stand up against this, opt out, and take back our kids' education with the resources that we are giving.
Have a good night. For
free to, well, this book is not free, but our videos at PragerU Kids are free, and we're trying to counter all of this radicalized stuff.
Yes, I mean, just two plucky oil billionaires, a bunch of shady slush funds, and the assholes that you're able to buy with them. You know, it's a real feel-good story. It's like just a ragtag band of rich people and their sycophants.
That is being directed at our children. Check out our books, check out our PragerU Kids videos. We're here for you, and join PrEP, PragerU Resources for Educators and Parents, for added support and information to really take back our education system as we're able to, one family at a time and one district at a time. Any other questions or comments? Get the book. Actually,
get stuffed.
This was one of my favorite books that I read.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can actually believe that. It's probably one of the only books that she read. It was like one of her first.
This is one of the favorite.
Out of the whole series.
This is one of the favorite ones. It really is. It really is something special. And a little teaser: in a couple weeks, we have Michael Knowles, the famous Michael Knowles,
Who the fuck is Michael Knowles?
doing the video story time of Otto's Tales. Today is Columbus Day, but we'll talk about that later. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Cool 88905 just said, yeah, sure, we don't have to be reverent and worship him, being Columbus, but if you aren't teaching that
Naming the day after him is kind of being reverent and worshiping him.
he was, but if all you're teaching is that he's a slaver and a monster, you're not being honest. Which is,
Yeah, except nobody has actually, in this entire stream, and we've had like 17 minutes of it, nobody's actually provided an example of a thing that he did that somehow puts that into perspective somehow and makes it not so bad.
Thank you.
Fair point.
Thank you. Stand in truth.
She said if you aren't teaching that he was a slaver and a monster, then you're being
Oh.
dishonest.
Well, either way, I mean,
Well, yeah, if you aren't teaching that that's true. If you aren't teaching that he's a slaver and a monster, then you are being dishonest.
it's fine to say that this person owned slaves, or it's fine to be honest about the facts of people, and it's not.
Right.
We don't have to. We're not saying we need to put him up on a pedestal, but let's.
Well, yeah, you kind of are when you say that this is Columbus Day. I mean, we don't just name the fucking day after any random person. Nobody's, like, made a national holiday after me. So I would say that making a national holiday after him, kind of putting him up on a pedestal. But what do I know?
Right now, you're the ones that are being dishonest by trying to cancel this guy and erase him from history. And
Nobody's trying to erase him from history. I mean, we were just talking, we're just talking over the past several minutes about how people are, like, putting the history into perspective and pointing out what his actual role in history was. Nobody's erasing him from history.
he did achieve a great thing for Western civilization, and he did persevere, and that is something to be acknowledged. And
Yeah, persevering is not actually an inherently good thing. I mean, fucking John Wayne Gacy persevered. Okay? Lots of horrible people persevered, you know, when you're the first, I mean, like, Himmler persevered. He went through, like, multiple different methods of genocide before he finally came up with the whole gas chamber thing. That was perseverance. We're going to talk about that as a good quality? I would hope not, but I don't know. I mean, PragerU, I could actually see them doing that.
why would we bury that? That's dishonest.
It is.
We're not burying that. We're pointing out that he persevered at bad things.
It is. Stand in truth. Stand in truth. Thanks so much, you guys. Join us at PragerU Kids.
What the hell is standing in truth? Like, why not just tell the truth? Why do we have to, like, fucking step in it?
Have a great rest of the week. Don't be too scared when you read the article about the Richfield School District. But I
Yeah, in fact, don't be scared at all because it's a good thing.
encourage you to read. Bye-bye. See you next.
Oh, God. Okay, let's get these fuckers off my screen. Okay, and for the last 12 minutes, we are going to have ourselves another rapid, I think. Okay, get the music going. Ah, shit. Okay, we got another Sicilian Chaos Pawn. Cool name. Where's Chaos Pawn from? Oh, BRB. Okay. Moin Moin Chaos Pawn. Chaosbauer. Okay. Okay, this isn't interesting. I've not seen this technique before. Okay. Yeah, let's just block that queen right the fuck now. By the way, another video on my language channel to Things Polyglots Know just dropped for anyone learning Korean. It is another episode of how Chinese characters can actually make vocabulary learning easier. This queen is seriously misplaced, and I feel like there should be some way to take advantage of it. It's not I think I need to develop this light squared bishop before that's going to become apparent. Okay, castles. Meanwhile, let's just take more and more squares away. Okay. So watch that D6 square for a moment. I feel like I may have just made a bit of a mistake here because this does open up an annoying little discovered check. But it's not one that actually gives black a whole lot. So I'm not sure, they might not actually go for it. This diagonal is the issue here, of course. But, I mean, there's really not much that's there. Yeah. Didn't really expect there to be much going on there. But let's just eliminate the possibility just to be sure. Okay, pin the knight. Attack on the queen, actually the knight as well, and the bishop. Bishop is hanging at the moment. Okay. Which each point this move is actually a little pointless. Alright, Cowl's pawn is 2 pawns up at the moment, so I do need to do a bit of a second. Actually, there's potentially a way to... Oh shit, my knight there is actually... On the other hand, this has given me a nice little... Yeah, I mean, I've still got the bishop pair, and my pawn structure on the king side's not terrible. And this queen is really... hasn't got a whole lot of places to go around here. Figure out some way to take advantage of that. As this evening's streaming time draws to a close. Pin. Okay, I don't know if that was necessarily good. That was what I was thinking might happen. Not bothered about it. I mean, this queen is getting closer to trap all the time. And can't actually put me in check except by taking this knight, and take the knight, then I just take back with that bishop. Take that bishop, I can just take back with either the knight or the rook. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really good for this queen to do, so I'm actually kind of happy for the queen to be there. At least it's not getting radicalized sex education over on a useful square. That's kind of what I was expecting. I don't really want to open up a file for that book. And that was also what I was expecting. Now I really do have to figure out some way to turn this into a thing. I mean, I have got the bishop pair. That is an imbalance that actually favors me. That is a reasonably good diagonal to get on. Oh! Wait, are you letting me just have that? No, there was something else there. What did I just lose? Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty good diagonal to be on now. Need to find a safer place for this king now. It was really kind of out in the open, which is not great. So we'll deal with that next. Okay. Discovery. The one thing I've got on my side at this point is I've got time. I've been really having a shitty chess week, actually. I think we know what's coming next, yeah. That's what I was expecting. Can't follow though because... whether there is this check. Okay, no. The thread is dry. I have a very salty pizza this evening. Oh, it's my move. Well, it's after 1 and I'm getting my ass kicked, so... GG. And I will see you all tomorrow, same time. Oh, hold on. So, thank you for joining me, and see you again tomorrow. Same time at 11:30. From 11:30 to 1 a.m. or thereabouts. Bis morgen.